The modern left fails to cultivate loyalty centrally for multiple reasons. Number one would have to be a failing on the part of the international left itself, if we are to be honest. A quote that I love is from Matua Jacques Lacan. And basically, what he talked about was the notion of a husband who is neurotic and he is obsessed with his wife cheating on him. He's constantly thinking about it, all of these images, kind of like the song, I Don't Want to Know, not the Metro Boom remix one, the older one, where he's sort of like sitting there like this and he sees on the wall all of these images. That would be the neurotic husband that Jacques Lacan is talking about. And what Matua Lacan argues is that he is neurotic or essentially insane, even if he is correct about her infidelity. And that can seem like a very harsh judgment, but it is a pure judgment. And the reason why is this. For me, personally, whenever I look at anything, if I am to fail at something, if I am to be defeated by anything, I never want it to be because of something that I could have changed. And the reality is that's not the case for much of the international left today, unfortunately. There is rampant infighting and an obsession with identity politics. If it's like anti-racism, fighting anti-Semitism, fighting queerphobia, fighting misogyny, etc., although these are very real forces and need to be addressed. For example, the wage gap is a very real thing. These have been weaponized, and when not married to class consciousness, when not entailing a material element, are purely about morality. And in this game, where morality is essentially a game, when you think about it, it becomes performative and rather pathetic. And so the average working person, so for example, when we think about white privilege, the average working white person, they don't feel privileged, especially if he is a cisgendered heterosexual man. Think about it. He goes to work for starvation wages. He's either too thin or too fat. He's certainly not jacked. He has no money to his name, no prospect of intergenerational wealth, very likely single, very likely has not reproduced, very likely will not reproduce. Where is his privilege? Now, I understand that sociologists talk about privilege is more so an absence of certain barriers and so on and so forth, and that is real, and that is a discussion to be had. Nonetheless, weaponizing such things that require very nuanced conversation in order to browbeat someone and label someone is a failure on the part of the left. And so the fact of the matter is that we have failed because, like Matua Lacan's proverbial husband, the neurotic husband obsessed with his wife cheating on him, when perhaps, although that is not to take away from her own personal responsibility for engaging in adultery, he has obviously neglected her at some point, whatever. Perhaps he should have set boundaries early on, whatever. There is an element here where the failing is on his part. And so that is the reality today for the international left, is that yes, there are those historical forces. We are up against the plutocracy. We have the state, the corporations, the banks, hate groups, etc., coming at us. And historically, that was the case. Look at the assassination of Martin Luther King, for example. Absolutely horrible, and a fine example of the kind of opposition true leftists face. However, today, Our failing has been our own.